7 in the morning. Common Sense Radio.
Good morning, you bunch of drunks.
That's right, folks. Beautiful Columbia, Missouri. That's where I am. Zimmer Broadcasting Headquarters, and going to be at the state capitol today for the opening of the session. Post-inauguration. Big party last night at the Missouri State Capitol. I got a bunch of pictures up there on our electric stove now from the event. You guys put together a little portfolio, did you, KT?
We sure did.
Of all the folks I ran into. Later on, Sarah Evans, as KT pointed out, was performing there, which is pretty cool. I heard her. I didn't see her. And later on, there was some dancing. I don't know when bands are going to learn that Mustang Sally is an impossible song to dance to. I mean, it really is. Why you're playing Mustang Sally still is beyond me. But just to watch people try to dance to that song, I feel so bad for them. And no worse than having to be in a situation where you're having to dance to that song, which is basically just impossible.
Looking for the eye bleach or having to watch people dance.
It's not even that great of a song. It's so overrated anyway. But it's just kind of like it's you just gotta Anyway, don't want to be sour on that. But let's be happy. Let's watch President Obama snorkeling with sea turtles, shall we? ABC's David Muir.
President Obama taking a dive in a place he helped protect.
They're images unlike anything we've seen before. A sitting president snorkeling in open waters. Captured by National Geographic for the February issue. President Obama.
Come on. It's something we've never seen before. A sitting president snorkeling. You've got to be kidding me. David Muir, his lips are so just glued to Obama's ass. It's unbelievable. You need a jackhammer to get those off. Play that again. Imagine this. This is unbelievable. By the way, they'd never do this with Donald Trump. They would never, everything that Obama does. And today he's gonna, if he can speak through the gunfire, he's gonna give his farewell address in Chicago. But everything Obama does, especially with ABC News, is unprecedented. Extraordinary, blah, blah. It's like, come on.
Funny tonight here, President Obama taking a dive in a place he helped protect.
They're images unlike anything we've seen before. A sitting president snorkeling in open waters.
Unbelievable. I mean, it's like, okay, so is that like a precedent of some sort, or is that kind of some, a sitting president snorkeling in open water? What, was there another president who snorkeled in closed waters? Is that why this is? Other presidents have only snorkeled in aquariums. This president, however, is snorkeling in open water. Unbelievable. I don't even want to hear the rest of this thing, but David Muir, that guy, it's constant. And this throughout the entire election. But you're never going to see and you know what? We don't need to. All right? You're never going to see stories that are glowing about Donald Trump in that fashion. You're never going to see anything laudatory about the guy from the news. And you know what? We don't need it anymore. We don't need it. We're no longer, the networks are no longer relevant except as ways, snippets we can make fun of and mock. So that's their role in my life now, is a punching bag on a daily basis. And that's a great example of it. Play that again. Please.
Funny tonight here, President Obama taking a dive in a place he helped protect.
They're images unlike anything we've seen before. A sitting president snorkeling in open waters.
They're
Captured by National
we have never seen before. Oh, my Lord. So it's a National Geographic thing, and there's Obama snorkeling. That's the big thing. Unreal. Oh, to be President Obama and loved by the media. Today, I guarantee you, this guy is going to be treated like the king of Siam in Chicago today. There probably won't be one mention of the carnage that will take place this evening in Chicago after the president's speech. Nor will there be any mention of the carnage that took place last evening before the president came. It'll all be about him, and they barely even mention the fact that he's building a wall around his house in Chicago. A wall! Build that wall. Build that wall. Speaking of victims, I was thinking about this on my way down here because I'm hearing so much about this poor mentally ill Fort Lauderdale shooter, and we hear all about his life and all about how troubled he was, and we're hearing his brother blaming everybody but the shooter. And how much do you all know? And I'll ask you, Kelly and KT, and this isn't to embarrass you or anything, but how much do you know about the 5 victims who died?
Not much at all.
One was a firefighter.
Yeah, one was
retired
a firefighter.
People, not a whole lot.
Yeah, because they don't pay attention. Because, in my opinion, when we treat people like collateral damage, when we treat people like they're just another group we've sacrificed to Islamic or to terrorism or whatever it happens to be, and we don't know what motivated this guy. I don't know whether it was Islamic terrorism or what it was. I don't care the motivation. Well, I kind of do, but what I'm saying is when we don't talk about the hardworking Americans, the people who have spent their whole lives working, who decided, I know 4 of the 5 were all going on cruises, and had spent their lifetimes as a married couple, for instance. This one woman, Shirley Timmons, 70 years old, from Ohio, was there with her husband, Steve. He was shot in the face. He's in a coma right now, so his life is basically over, essentially. Shot in the face. She was shot right away and died there at the airport. They were to celebrate their 51st wedding anniversary on the 28th of January. And they were headed on a cruise. And they were going with their family, and they were coming to Fort Lauderdale, and they were just off on a cruise. They had spent their lifetimes as small business owners. They owned the Mayfair stores in Cambridge, Ohio, and spent their whole lives working, never wanting anything from anybody, raising kids, just being normal, average, everyday people. And they don't go down, and they get shot to death by some guy who for whatever reason couldn't handle whatever and decided he was going to take innocent lives. Because believe me, there are many people with PTSD who aren't out shooting people. So spare me the violin music for this guy. All we do is hear about the shooter and romanticizing his problems. Well, there are lots of guys who've come back from Iraq, lots of guys who've come back from Afghanistan who aren't harming people. They're not going and taking innocent lives. They're not going and destroying families and couples who've been married for 51 years. Another guy, his name is Terry Andrews. He's 62 years old from Virginia Beach. He was going on a cruise vacation with his daughter, his wife, and she was unharmed. They'd been married 40 years. He worked in the Norfolk Naval Shipyard for 20 years and volunteer with the fire department there, as you all mentioned. And his dead. Going on a cruise. Never asked it for anything. Volunteered for a fire department. But has his life taken from some creep who couldn't handle his problems and decided that the way he was going to do it was by shooting strangers. And we got a feel for that guy? Let's pay attention to the hardworking Americans who we sacrifice to these a-holes every day. Every day. And let me tell you something. The fewer times that you tell the stories of real people who have been harmed, the more complicit we are in this kind of terrorism. When we just treat these individuals like trash and, 5 here, 10 there, 40 there. How about the Orlando nightclub? How much do you know about the victims in the Orlando nightclub shooting? Of course not. You just hear about the shooter. You hear about his issue. You hear about his manifesto. NBC News had the nerve to put together a story where they talked about all of the military-related crimes that have been committed by former military people. You know who they included in this is why there's going to be a time when I'm holding these people accountable. I'm not going to tell you what's going on exactly with my future, but there's going to be a time when all these people are going to be strung up in the right fashion in the media. NBC News does this story about tying all these killings to former military guys. You know who they included in their story? The Fort Hood shooter. And we all know what the Fort Hood shooter was about, right? It wasn't a guy who was going through PTSD or whatever it happened to be. He's an Islamist. He's a terrorist, Muslim terrorist. But he's included in this story about how these troubled military people are causing problems everywhere. What a bunch of baloney. I have no sympathy for this character. His brother can shove it. Let's talk about the people, the innocent people who are trying to live their lives, raising families, working hard, who are taken out by people who can't handle their issues and who can't handle their problems. Let's talk about those people for once and for all. Sorry I sound so bitter, but I am. And as Steve Martin would say, I'm sorry, but I am angry. There. Let that out. You guys understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
All right. Then get to the break. Thank you. Bye-bye. Good night.